It would seem as though.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm enjoying a diet of whipped cream right now.
That's
'Cause,
delightful.
you know, I like to have a really balanced diet.
Yeah, you're so smart.
So I'm having my
Chocolate,
pretend coffee.
peppermint, decaf coffee, milk and whipped cream. That is the food pyramid.
Well, it's mostly fat and sugar and cream. You know,
there's protein in there, girl. Don't even get it fucking twisted.
well, I suppose so.
Yeah.
And then there's a little coffee flavoring.
Yeah.
Just a spot.
Just the flavor.
Yeah, you know,
Not the
because I don't want
benefit.
too much.
Yeah, not the benefit because you'll die.
No. Welcome to another week of It Would Seem As Though, the podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and nothing.
Mostly nothing.
I'm Vesta.
I'm Annika.
And here we are in our fabulous studio with our assistant, Nix, the 25-pound cat.
She just gets heavier and heavier every
The
episode.
50-pound cat.
Yes, she a big girl.
She just doubled just now in front of my eyes.
Yeah, I know, she a big girl.
She is a big girl.
You know, and then she's sitting on the table. She started doing...
I'm not fat shaming you, Nix. I promise.
She's up. Well, listen. She, like many big women, goes to the doctor and gets fat shamed. So, you know, they say you.
I do know.
She's too fat. She's a man. She's black. That's what they all say. And I'm like, you're
So
racist. You're a bigot. You're fat phobic.
I'm sorry, but she's a black trans woman and of size.
Yeah,
and you're just
and you're
all the wrong
coming
things.
for her. And this is the year of the Lord of 20 and 20 of 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know.
And so, like, stop being such a bigot.
Which reminds me, I just wanted to throw this out there.
Okay, tell me.
There is. I saw this TikTok that made me go, huh. I need to check this out. There's a restaurant here in Portland, a Mexican restaurant called Mis Tacones.
Okay.
Vegan Mexican food.
Love that.
And their whole mission is to be a safe place for queer folk. I mean, they're open to everyone. Y'all who aren't queer can go.
No.
But don't ruin it for
It's like
everybody
the
else.
queer country club. No one else is invited.
But one of the things that they're doing, and I'm not sure how this takes place. I don't know. You have to tell them.
Disclose.
Hey, yeah, if you're a queer or a trans woman of color, you're going to eat free there.
I love that.
Because one of their things was trans women in general already have a hard enough time even getting employment.
Yeah.
But there's also so many expenses.
Yeah.
So, surgeries and hormones and different things.
Expenses, when it's hard to get a job, when it's hard to have any money, whatever, and then normal expenses on top of transitioning, if that medical transition is their thing, is a lot.
Yeah.
So I like these businesses that want to help out where they can. And doing it specific, I mean, helping trans women important is great. Helping trans women of color is crucial,
Well, yeah.
Yeah, girl, I know. I love that, though.
Yeah, so
All
it's
about
on
it.
16th and Killingsworth.
Okay, love it. Love that
Yeah,
neighborhood.
and so I'm going to have to check that out.
God, I
Go
wish...
get some foods. and-
Sometimes I wish we lived in North or Northeast Portland again. That was the first place that I lived when I moved to Portland, because we lived off Lombard, remember?
Yeah.
I loved it.
I love living over there. I
Yeah.
love North Portland.
It's preferable to over here. That's like my biggest complaint about is where we're located. That's always been my complaint, though, I guess.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's-
I love living over there. I love that it's close to everything.
Agreed.
I love that it's not the whitest neighborhood
Yeah,
ever.
girl, I don't...
Although, this neighborhood is not
The whitest?
the
No.
whitest.
It's
No, we have
quite
lots of
multicultural, yeah.
lots of stuff. Because the kids' schools are...
Quit reading your phone.
I know. I'm
We're
sorry.
on a
I was
podcast.
looking for the thing I wanted to read to you. The kids' schools are the most diverse in the state.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The David Douglas School District.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love that, though.
I love that. And when I thought about... when we thought about moving briefly... And every place we looked at, it was like, well, if we want to send them to all white schools, which I absolutely don't want to do.
No.
I mean, my children have been exposed to all kinds of different cultures, and so they don't find any of it, like, weird or, like, why is that girl's head covered? Or
Well, and nothing's novel. It's not novel to them, so they don't see it as, like, be afraid or, you know what I mean, like ask inappropriate. Like they're not those people, which is good. They have their other shortcomings.
Right. One of the things that whenever I think about it, just makes me feel so good is when Parker was, I want to say he was in kindergarten or first grade. Mm-hmm. A new girl.
A Gerber baby.
God, words are hard. I'm very tired. I slept very poorly last night.
Same girl. We'll get to that.
But a new girl started. She and her family had just moved here from Nepal.
Okay.
And none of them spoke a word of English.
Wow. Challenging.
Yeah. And so you're throwing this little girl into a classroom where not only does she not know anybody, but she has no idea what's happening.
She's like, what are they even saying?
Yeah. And I can't imagine.
Yeah.
You know. But Parker, the teachers asked Parker, said, hey, can you kind of be, you know, just be friends with her and kind of help her out and whatever.
Yeah.
And so he was like, yeah, of course. And he, in his world, in his mind, he taught her English.
I love that.
Now, he probably did teach her a few things.
Sure.
The whole language? No.
Well, and I think it's interesting because Parker, when he was younger, had a hard time communicating. That was like a huge issue. Remember, he would try, and there was things that we knew because we were around him all the time, but his communication skills weren't super strong when he was a kid.
No.
So being not understood or misinterpreted, I bet that makes him really good at trying to understand people who
right. Well, because before we got him on medication for his ADHD, he was way too scattered and too angry. Yeah. So the same girl, a couple years after that, I was working at the school, and she was in the hallway when she wasn't supposed to be in the hallway.
Love that.
And the teacher said to her, she said, honey, you're supposed to be in class right now. Mm-hmm. And she turns around and looks at the teacher and goes, well, honey, I'm on my way to class. It was like, and not even thinking that's inappropriate.
Yeah.
Because like, she doesn't know.
She's been learning English for 2 years. Yeah.
The fact that she's like, well, honey, I'm on my way to class.
Yeah.
And not the way we would say, like, all right, honey.
All right, hunty. Yeah. I can't imagine being... immigrating to an English-speaking country with my family, and none of us know English, and then me as a child learn English, because often what happens when you are the only English speaker in your family, even as a kid, you are taken everywhere as a translator. To the bank, to the doctor's offices, you call to make appointments. Like, I know a lot of people who, their parents didn't speak English, so they went with them everywhere when they were kids, you know, to do all, or call to the doctor, or call whoever, because the parents didn't know English. Eventually they learned more, but once the kid has the education, you're like, no, put it to use.
Yeah.
Help me, you know, which is how tiring.
I've had people come to my salon where they would bring someone, usually their child, with them to tell me what they wanted.
Yeah.
Because, of course, I don't speak Spanish.
That's weird.
Know just a teeny little bit. Enough to probably get myself in trouble.
Sure.
Or to think I know something and then say it wrong and offend someone. You can ask for,
like, necessary things.
Yeah, I can. And I can understand, you know, really bad. But, unfortunately, if people talk at what is a normal pace...
Yeah, you're like, absolutely not.
I'm sorry. Can you talk to me like a white person trying to talk English to someone who they think, just I'm slowing smart. It down
will make them multilingual. Quit yelling
Just
at
speak
me.
to me very slowly. I might get it. I probably won't.
As they start speaking, I'm going to need you to calm down. Make it real problematic.
Just slow.
Very slow. Yeah. Record it.
Talk to me like I'm super stupid.
Just record it. Play it back slow on the phone.
Right. Well, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, and now though they have like Google Translate where someone can say something into a phone and it will like translate in real time.
I love that.
Same girl, we could go anywhere.
Yeah. Speaking of my work though.
Oh.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
So periodically I will lose clientele because they're moving or they're doing whatever. And yesterday, one of my clients, who I've been doing for some time, who's a very lovely lady, sits down in my chair and she said, I just want to let you know this is probably the last time I'm going to see you. Mm-hmm. And I'm automatically thinking, oh God, what did I do?
Yeah.
I fucked up your hair.
Yeah.
But probably not, because then you wouldn't be back in my chair.
Sure. Yeah.
But she was moving away because her relationship of 8 years was ending because the guy was like, well, I don't want to be in this. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And it was literally because he had rekindled something with somebody from his past of however many years ago. It's like,
That's
so you just are all of a sudden like, yeah, I'm
All
done.
done.
I'm done. Bye. After
No,
8
I hate
years,
that. I hate that.
it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And then, and this is probably going to sound weird,
I'm ready.
but one of the things that I found really touching is that she told me a lot of details of what was going on, and then said to me, I've told you now more than I've told anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I love that. I mean, I didn't say it to her. I was like, thank you so much for being able to trust me.
Yeah.
And, it's like, I'm not going to tell your story, because, like, even now what I'm telling is very brief, no names, no whatever.
Sure,
Nobody knows what I'm talking about. And I wouldn't tell beyond that, because I know some of her boyfriend's family.
Yeah.
So I'm certainly not going to be like, oh, well,
Let me
this
tell you.
happened and that happened.
Yeah.
And,
Well, and I always think that in positions like that, I know, I think it's, often we say hairdressers are like therapists, right? People come sit down. I also think...
hairdressers and bartenders.
I feel like it's regular clientele. Because, like, at Starbucks, it's not like I spent a lot of time with people. It was small interactions over the course of years.
Yeah.
But where they feel comfortable enough. And I remember feeling like, depending on who it was, I liked a lot of my customers, but feeling burdensome sometimes when I would be like, why are you telling me this? Like, you don't know me, girl. Or why are you breaking down in front of me? But I had to change my perspective as, like, maybe I am the only person you can deem as safe to talk to. You know what I mean? In this moment, you haven't had, what I mean? Or whatever it is. Looking at it as like, well, they needed it. It's not about me in that situation. Yeah. But there are times when I'm like, Mama, I'm not the one you should say this to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where I'm like, But yeah.
Absolutely. I've had times where it's uncomfortable because they're saying something that either I feel like I shouldn't know, or it is impacting other people that I do know, and now I'm thinking of them in like a different light. Absolutely, because like, oh well, now I know that Joe Bob over here is an asshole.
Yeah.
And I still have to see Joe Bob.
Well, it's
like, God damn it.
That's what's happening literally to celebrity culture. Famous people, right? Like,
absolutely.
We see them all like, we love them. We think you're iconic. You're great. You're whatever. And then people are coming out being like, they touched me. They raped me. They were racist. Whatever it is. There's a whole bunch of... So yeah, most celebrities at this point, I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
But even the ones who aren't like abusive... you find out things about them where you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, the ones who don't stand up for other people, or who treat their help poorly, or who, or treat anybody they're working with that they deem beneath them.
Yeah, I hate it.
When I hear things like people saying, well, I worked with such and such celebrity, and their whole thing was that no one could, look them in the eyes. It's like, what kind of... Who do you think you are? Unless you're Medusa.
Yeah, girl.
I mean, she had a valid reason to not look her in the eye because she would turn your ass to stone.
Yeah.
But anybody else, first of all, I don't think anybody is above me.
No. Oh, no. And that's a problem.
And it's not just that I think I'm so great. It's that I think we're all on even keel. You have more money than me? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You are, whatever, you have a better job than me? Probably. Yeah. But that doesn't mean you're a better person than me.
No.
And so me not looking you in the eyes feels like some kind of, I'm somehow humbled to be in your
subservient
presence.
To you goddess. I know. It's, I don't understand that. And as we've talked about over the past week or so, how I may or may not have an issue with authority. So there's no way. If they were like, don't look me in the eye, I'd be all, what, bitch? What'd you say to me, bitch? Peel my eyes. Peel my eyelids
I
off.
can't look you hard enough in the eyes right now.
I would never blink again. Like,
I'd be all trying to get in front of them just to look them in the eyes.
Exactly.
What you gonna do about it?
And I also think, talking about rich people, I think rich people are boring. I don't know why that came up. But what I mean by that is I think people who struggled or were poor or whatever and then gained money or wealth are smarter, and have more experience and are more interesting. I feel like rich people, because often they didn't have to do a thing, go through a thing.
Right.
And they had the money to support whatever hobby they want. They don't really they're not interesting people. You know what I mean? They care about capitalism, they care about money, they care about their nice things. But like, collecting Birkin bags or collecting vintage Chanel, that's cool. But it's not really a personality trait.
But why?
Yeah, but why?
I mean, there's a woman who I follow on TikTok who does this whole thing about stupid rich people and like the shit that they buy.
Yeah.
And her biggest gripe is Balenciaga. Because when Balenciaga was just a fashion house, it was beautiful, amazing dresses.
Yeah.
But now it's everything.
Yeah.
Purses and shoes and jeans and and half of it looks like they pulled it out of a dumpster.
Yeah.
Slapped the Balenciaga label on it, ran it through the shredder, and it was like, here you go, for $5,000 you can have these jeans.
Yeah.
Or these shoes that are pre-dirtied for you.
Pre-distressed.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but if I'm buying shoes and I'm paying any kind of money for them, they better look pristine.
Well, and that's the crazy thing to me, too, tying this into celebrity culture, is that these fashion brands, a lot of the fashion houses that for a long time are just kind of mysterious, right? There's a mystique about Dolce & Gabbana, about Chanel, about whatever, even like Karl Lagerfeld, who wore gloves and sunglasses wherever he was, you know? But now, because age of information, you know, we can dig into everyone's past, more and more it comes out that there's a lot of designers and fashion houses that you shouldn't support. For example, Dolce & Gabbana, they're real problematic assholes. But they're gay men who don't believe in gay marriage or gay adoption because they think children should be raised by a man and woman. Yeah, it's just, but it's
so they're self-hating gay men.
But it's Italian. It's like that Italian ideological view. They were probably raised Catholic. You know what I mean? Like, but also like Gucci is coming. Something's happening. They're not paying someone, or they were racist. What is his name? He's another French Galliano.
Oh, yeah.
Anti-Semitic. You know what I mean? They're publicly on a train saying, like, anti-Jewish things years ago. But, like, my point is I'll never buy or own anything that's Dolce & Gabbana. I will never own or buy anything that's Galliano. And I do have, like, designer things. I didn't buy any of them. Do you know? I stole them all. No, I'm a cat burglar. No, but it's... I like that when people are being taken down a peg, because like you, I also love a good comeuppance.
Yes.
And it's so funny when this is a sidebar, watching TV, Gavin's playing his video games, I'm wearing headphones, and I'm like, yes, or whatever, and Gavin's like, did someone just get comeuppance? And I'm all, yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
They deserved it.
Oh, I love that.
Same, but yeah.
And it's like, the bigger the comeuppance, the better.
Girl.
I know.
Yes.
That's one of my things, and I realized it after becoming an adult, that so many things in life feel unfair to me. And I don't mean just, like, life's unfair. Of course it is.
Yeah.
But, like, somebody does something really shitty, and nothing ever happens about it. Or they disappear entirely, so you never get, like, to any kind of closure.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Which is why in a movie, girl, if they get their comeuppance, I'm happy as can be.
Yep.
It's like, if you're an asshole and in the end you have been taught a lesson.
Yeah. Well, I've been watching, like I've said, for the past few weeks, I've been watching a ton of Law & Order SVU. And I know there's like 17 Law & Order shows, but this is like the second one. There was or whatever. Anyway.
With my good friend Mishka Hargitay.
I just love. Anyway, she's so hot and she's 60. I'm like, you're so banging. And then I looked her up more and I knew who her mom was, but I didn't know her dad was Mickey
Hargitay,
who was like a Mr. Universe or bodybuilder from Hungary. Yeah. He was hot too, but so was her mom. Anyway, but I've been watching a lot of SVU. So there's a lot of people who think they can, outsmart the law or the detectives or whatever, and then they get comeuppance. And I'm always like, yeah, my bitch Benson took you down. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
It is a lot, and a lot of it's formulaic. So I'm kind of being it's easier for me to guess, like, he had something to do with it, or Benson's gonna walk in and be held hostage for the 15th fucking time. I'm pretty sure, and she does every time. It's better me than you. No, it isn't, bitch. You have a son. Get out of here.
So an interesting little thing about her mother.
Tell me.
So her mom, for anybody who doesn't know, was Jane Mansfield.
Yeah.
Who died at 36 in a car accident. And she was in the car with her. Mariska was in the car.
Laying in the seat.
Yeah.
Or the floor in the back
on
seat.
The back. Yeah. Her brother was in the car too. Jane Mansfield, who always played the dumbest of dumb blondes, was super smart. She was like Mensa smart.
Really?
Yes. And she, because she figured out how to really capitalize on her fame, and how she would see something she really wanted, and she would say, like, she really wanted this heart-shaped bed, which, you know, a novelty, so obviously way more expensive.
Yeah.
So she went to the store and said, listen, I will do promotion for your store. I will be in your store live for this day or whatever, and you can advertise it, and you, in trade, you'll give me this, you know, however many $1,000 bed.
Yeah.
And they usually would just be like, yes, of course.
Yeah, you can have whatever
you're
you want.
You're going to be in my store. That's going to draw lots and lots of people.
Yeah.
You know, because it was the height of her fame. But she really engineered most of it.
I love that.
You know,
I
so
love
it was
that.
like, yeah, and she engineered most of her fame.
That's
because she was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make, you know, talk like this. I'm going to dress like this. You know,
So
and this
funny.
little tiny little waspy waist and gigantic boobs and
well,
hips
that
and,
famous picture of her and Sophia Loren.
I love that picture.
Yeah, where Sophia Loren is like side-eyeing her tits that are just falling out.
Yeah, there's
onto
laying on the table. Yeah.
I love that picture. Because Gavin was like, I don't know who Jane Mansfield is. I was like, you will. And they show that picture. He's like, oh, right. Everyone knows this picture. I'm like, yeah. Everybody.
And if you watch her movies, not a great actress.
Was she an actress for a while?
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't know if it was like she was in the height of her acting and then died, you know?
She died when she was on the other side of her acting.
Okay.
So she was real hot for a minute, did a bunch of movies, did some Broadway stuff.
Yeah.
And as her career started to wane, she was then doing nightclub gigs.
Okay.
Which, of course, she was a hot draw in a nightclub because she was still a big enough name.
Of course.
And that was where she was on her way home from when she died in a car accident, was a nightclub gig.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know her car went under a big truck, like a big rig, right? Yeah, and took her...
The top of her head.
Yeah,
her and the driver.
That's right. I know, God. How awful. But yeah, Mariska, she's been in SVU since season 1.
One of my friends went to college with her.
That's crazy.
I know. Isn't that wild?
I love that.
So she also knew Mariska's dad, Mickey, who apparently was super, super overprotective.
Oh.
But, you know, why wouldn't you be when you end up raising your child by yourself because your wife died?
Yeah, I know. God, that's so awful. Anyway, jeez.
Didn't even mean to get off on that topic.
But here we are.
Yeah. I did want to talk about... Excuse me. I want to talk a little bit about the stuff going on in the elections.
Okay. I would love to.
You know, it wasn't that long ago that we were sitting here talking about it and how it felt very kind of hopeless.
Yeah.
But as soon as they announced Kamala was going to be... I suddenly had hope again. Yeah, but I will tell you, when they added Tim Walz to the ticket, I thought, well, I love Kamala. Yeah. But Tim Walz is also he's like everyone's kind of dad.
That's how I feel.
He's the one you want. He's the guy you want to be your dad.
Everyone called Joe Biden Uncle Joe, and I'm like, no, this guy's like Uncle Tim for
Uncle
sure.
Tim, right? Yeah. And I love that the idiot Republicans are calling him Tampon Tim because he passed a bill to make tampons available, or just feminine hygiene products available in all public restrooms and in schools.
Yeah. Oh no.
Boys' room and girls' room, whoever needs it.
Love,
right?
Yeah.
And they're all mad about it because, like, boys have to see this. First of all, if you demystify periods, then we're already in a better place. Right? But the idea was there are some trans boys who will need the products and whatever, and then they don't have to be embarrassed to ask for it.
Well, I love that. I don't know.
That's one of their big, like, tampon Tim.
He wants to get people hygiene products. Hate him.
He's such an asshole. He also passed the free lunch.
Yeah.
So that every kid in his state could eat.
That's how horrible.
I know, what a monster. I mean, really.
Well, and I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast. He was football coach, right, when he was a teacher. Yes. But one of his students came up and they needed a teacher advisor to be for their gay straight alliance. And he said, yeah, okay. And, like, was the teacher advisor for the GSA for the queer kids because he saw that kids needed help and not all kids had the same equal opportunity. And it was like, wow, who are you? Like, this generic, white, cisgendered, Christian male. Military.
24 years in the military.
Like, and I don't know, people want to tell you that being a man and masculinity and manhood looks a certain way. Look at Tim Walz. He's everything that you could potentially want. Am I saying that
without being toxic?
Well, yes. And am I saying that he hasn't probably done shit,
Oh,
hasn't
sure.
fucked up, hasn't said the wrong thing or done the wrong thing. Sure. But I think as a 60-year-old white man, he's slaying it. You know?
Absolutely.
He's what white men should look up to, not fucking Donnie Trump.
Well, that's the other thing is J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
In one of his speeches talking about the other side was saying how Tim Walz had stolen valor. First of all, what does that even fucking mean? He served 24 years in the military.
Yeah.
And retired with honors.
Yeah.
How is that stolen
What do you
valor?
mean? Yeah.
What? Is it because you are just an idiot rich boy who was given money and raised... it was like, I'm sorry, but you're also... Let's talk about you for a second, J.D. Vance. It was not that long ago that you were talking about how you were a never-Trumper. How Trump was America's Hitler. How he was a despicable human being. And now you're all kissing his ass?
Listen, here's my favorite thing about J.D. Vance is... Remember the other day when I was shook that he had a wife? Because I thought this whole time he was actually a homosexual man. I thought, wow, that's really progressive for Trump and the Republicans. Like, how smart of you.
Right.
No, he's allegedly straight. I don't know why I thought he was gay. Is that talked about? Is that a thing?
I don't think so. The only thing I know about is he wrote the book Hillbilly Elegy.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be about his life, but it's not.
Okay. Where he fucked a couch, right?
Yeah. So when Tim Walz said, I can't wait to debate him, you know, if he can get up off the couch.
I know.
He's like, see what I did with it?
Yeah.
Yes, Tim, we saw
That's
that.
so
that
funny.
was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about J.D.
But,
Vance.
you know, Trump talking shit about Kamala being biracial. Your VP pick has an Indian wife and biracial children.
I also don't know, like, what does that have to do with anything?
Well, because, you know, for a long time, Kamala was Indian, and then she turned black.
No.
And someone needs to look into that. Those are his words. Talking to a group of black reporters saying that Kamala she was always an Indian.
Yeah.
And then suddenly she just turned black. And now she's black. And someone ought to look into that. What does that mean?
This is
you're going to investigate the fact that one of her parents is black and the other one is Indian. There we are. We've investigated it.
I want you to know this is why we need things like critical race theory. This is why we need to teach race to children. This is why we need to, I don't know, talk about ethnicity and culture. Like, the president of the United States, the former president, the one that everyone wants to reelect, he says dumb shit like that. That's easily figured out. That's not even hard to deduce. That she had two parents and one was Indian and one was black. Like, but like the fact that everyone's like, oh, critical race theory makes white children hate themselves. Well, maybe white children should hate themselves a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that'd be a little bit better. I'm not saying they should, but maybe they should.
If knowing the facts about your own history makes you hate yourself for something your ancestors did, well, that's on you. And your parents need to do a better job of saying, this was what happened then.
Yeah.
We need to learn from that.
And do better.
Because if you bury it, you're just destined to repeat it.
Well, what happens when your kids find out when they grow up and they say, did you know? You know, that
How come you never told us this?
Yeah. Or did you know? And if you say yes, why didn't you tell us? Yeah. Awful. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. And the other day I was on Facebook, which I'm very rarely on anymore. I'll go on, see if I need to tell anybody happy birthday. Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah.
Maybe occasionally I'll post a cute picture or something, but I just can't be bothered with all the negativity. And I looked at a post of a friend of mine that was talking about basically how it's so different on the right than it is on the left, because the left, they're talking about issues, and the right, they're talking about how big a crowd size they have, and talking shit about talking shit about Kamala, who, you know, in their words, slept her way to the top, or was a DEI hire, or whatever. But it's never about the issues. One of the people, who I assume is one of her friends, commented that she was absolutely voting for Trump because he's going to make sure that her children and daughters and granddaughters are protected and aren't, you know, attacked by men in the women's room.
Oh.
Now, I did not reply because I didn't want to get into that whole thing and have a fight with people I don't know and care about. But here's the thing. Do the teeniest bit of research and find the stats on how many women have been sexually abused in a bathroom by a trans woman. And you'll find that you can't find that number. But if you look at how many women and girls have been sexually abused by priests, politicians, and parents, those numbers are very easily found.
Oh, girl, astronomical.
In fact, they're probably too big to even quantify anymore.
Yeah, at this point.
And so, why on earth is this? Somebody has said we need to scare the people with, the queer people are bad.
Yep.
And they already don't like them, so it's easy enough to vilify them.
Scapegoat.
So, but, don't look up anything because we don't want you to know the truth. Yeah. That's the part that I don't get. If you told me, this horrible thing happened, I would believe you because it's you. Mm-hmm. But if anybody else is saying to me, oh, well, this group of people did this, I'm going to go tippy-tippy-tap on my thing and look it up.
Well, here's the thing that I'm going to tell you. Let's say, in the hypothetical of it all, I don't know, pick any other race other than lily white, right? It could be Mexican, it could be black, it could be Muslim, or a Middle Eastern, whatever. Let's say attacked me, tried to kill me, held me hostage, whatever the fuck it is. I would still tell you, I hate this man and those people who did it to me. I would never say all Mexicans, all black people, all Arabs. I would never ever blanket statement saying since this one guy hurt me and he belongs to this group, then they're all bad. That is the ignorance of Eurocentric ideology. That's what America's based on, where it's like if the whole like one bad apple thing, but it's like you just think that people of color, natives, Mexicans, at some point Irish people, whatever, black people, that they are less than and not human. You think they're all bad apples, but in truth, they're not, And so I hate blanket statements. I hate generalization like that anyway. But yeah, if someone assaulted me and they were, I hate white people. I hate white men specifically because white men have been the ones who've done the most harm to me, But like,
they've done the most harm. Period.
Yeah. And then I would never, I don't know. It's like the straight men when they're like, yeah, well, I had a bad experience with a gay guy. The bad experience was you thought someone was hitting on you, so you now hate all gays. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Flatter yourself.
Honestly, girls don't want you. What the fuck makes you think a guy's gonna want you?
Yeah, it's just crazy to me. And also crazy to me, you were talking about blaming a whole group for the actions of one or two people. When this woman that I used to work with, who was telling me one day how she was very nervous around black girls. I'm like, okay, why? Well, I was attacked by a group of black girls, so then all black girls are suspect.
Well, and here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
Tell me.
She fucking started the issue. She was drunk.
Her fault. Yeah.
She was drunk and started a thing, and they finished the thing. Yeah. And so it's somehow all on them.
Yeah.
And I'm all, it's too bad that you're stupid, but you were drunk and started a fight. Picked a fight with a group of girls.
Yeah.
And they decided to fight back.
Yeah.
And so all black women are bad now because you picked a fight with a group of black girls and lost and got your ass handed to you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're stupid.
And listen, again, I'm watching a lot of SVU. So, like, if somebody was assaulted, let's say, and it's like interracial assault, right? Okay. Like, it's not like black on black crime or whatever that the conservatives want to talk about. But if it is like interracial assault, sure, if you're a black woman who was assaulted by a Mexican man, you'll be a little trepidatious as you are out and about and you hear Spanish or whatever. You'll be like maybe flashback, maybe triggered, but like that's different than just hating all Mexicans, right? Or hating all people. For a while, you'll feel uneasy, but that doesn't go on forever. That reminds me of my fucking first husband who grew up in Detroit, so he was the victim of racism, and he's white. Yeah, and I was like, no. He was like, well, there's more black people. No. You live in the United States of America, whitey, but he believed in reverse racism.
Were you a victim of bigotry? Yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Prejudice? Yes.
But racism? No.
No, bitch.
No.
Dumb bitch. Yeah.
Your first husband.
Listen, I know.
What a piece of trash.
I know. I make choices.
Listen, we have made some really terrible choices in our lives.
Yeah.
I look back on the people I met before my husband, and I think, what on earth was I thinking? Where was my brain?
You were drunk.
I would love to say that I was drunk the entire time. I wish that was the case.
A couple decades, you were just
I was drunk for like 20-ish years.
But look at you. You have sobered up so well.
I have, thank you. I've cleaned my act right up.
Yeah, you look great. You're glowing.
Yeah. What was your excuse?
I don't know. Because I also used the excuse that I was drunk.
Well, there you go.
But it's more accurate for me because I didn't stop drinking until I was like 26. So
okay.
I could have been drunk.
All right. I suppose you could have been.
No, but here's the thing. My excuse is that I was real damaged. I was real damaged.
Well, I would say that goes for the both of us.
Well, yeah. And I've been mostly in like longer term relationships. I have slept with a lot of people and like quote unquote dated, but like that was all in brief amount of times. You know, I was like, my house is a revolving door. Do you know what I mean? But then I would get into a relationship, and obviously that would all stop. But the moments that I've been single in my life, she throws it around.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Well, and while we're talking about you, let's talk about your health.
She is just so healthy. She is healthy as a horse. One that's probably like needs to be shot or something.
Right. Healthy as one of those horses that's on their last leg.
Listen, I've been ran my whole life. I just need a nap. Yeah. I don't know what to say.
So you've been going through it.
So my mental health was wonky earlier in the year. And my mental health has always been wonky. So I changed my meds, which I talked about already. I'm now on 2 antidepressants, and I feel better. My mental health is actually pretty great. I cried the first time in like a month and a half because I watched something sad. And that's when you should cry, right?
Absolutely.
You don't just cry because life is happening and you're awake. But I started to feel off. And this was a month ago, I would say. I don't know. I can't really gauge it. I would say probably springtime, maybe end of winter. I just started to feel wonky. And I want you to know that since I left Starbucks, like my main gig last summer, and I've had time to relax, I thought that I would not feel exhausted, right? I have less stress. I graduated college. Like, I would feel better. And I don't. I feel like very tired every day, very, very lethargic. I've had like issues with my stomach, digestive issues. Really the kind of days, lots of like memory, feeling foggy. So I have a new-ish doctor. I haven't had her very long. But I told her, she helped me change my meds, and then I did a follow-up. And my mental health was better. But I just set up an appointment and had it on Friday and talked to her about how I feel mentally fine, but physically I'm just not doing okay. Like, I don't sleep very well. If I eat anything, instantly I feel like I'm going to be sick. And so I did some research on my own, but researching health problems is a scary thing. You're always like, absolutely. You're dying of something. So my doctor set up all these tests that I had to have done, and we started with blood tests, and I got them done yesterday. My doctor thinks, at this point, prior to looking at this in-depth blood test, my doctor asked about autoimmune diseases in my family history. So I asked my cousin Stacy, and there's not a lot, but I got a lot of the results of my blood test back, and a lot of it's just very abnormal. So like my white blood cell count's high, platelets are high, my iron is really low, which, I mean, I have been anemic, but I take iron, so I don't know why that would still be low.
Right.
What else? Like all the things, I'm not normal in most of... Okay, so my complete blood panel, most of it's normal except for white blood cells and platelets. But all of the other tests they did for my red blood cells are either way too high or way too low, or they've just been quoted as abnormal. So I got blood drawn yesterday, and so my doctor will review it hopefully today or tomorrow and get back to me. But yeah, my white blood cells have been elevated along with my platelets for a few years. I was looking on my through my chart because I have access to it, and my white blood cells have been elevated since like 2019 at least, which is 5 years, which is a long time. And this is a conversation because I remember the first time my white blood cells were ever really elevated. It was like 2012. I remember being concerned, but that was the only thing that was elevated. And I know that like lots of things can contribute, but like stress was it. So I always had the thought in my head that I was under such chronic stress for so long that it affected my body, which is something that can happen. I don't know what's going on. But so here we are. But yeah, I just don't know what it is, but I feel just worn out all the time, you know. But yeah, we'll see.
All right.
So, I mean,
yeah, that's a lot.
I just don't know. Like, I want to know, of course, that what's going on. And like I told you earlier, that it feels like gratifying that I don't feel like I am crazy or I'm being a hypochondriac. Like, there's clearly something happening. Right. So that makes me feel better, and I'm glad my doctor was like, yeah, we'll look into it. So that makes me feel better, but it's also like, well, great. Now there's something that is wrong.
You have all the things.
Now I have all the things, yeah. But yeah. So that's kind of just what's on my mind, you know. Which leaves me very, like, unmotivated to literally want to do anything else. I kind of just want to, like, veg forever, you know. I don't feel, my brain just feels overwhelmed.
Yeah, I imagine.
You know.
Well, especially with doing your college stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that in itself is overwhelming.
Yeah. So, but it's okay. I'm still working through it. Still working on school and whatever. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And it feels like I've always felt tired because I've overworked myself, you know?
Yeah.
But again, I just thought that reducing all of my stress and not having any sort of issue, like, I thought that would be beneficial, and it obviously has been, but I don't feel better, you know? I thought that it would feel better.
Hopefully they'll get to the bottom of this and you'll feel better.
I'm hoping, girl, yeah. So, we'll see what she has to say. I'll keep everyone posted.
All right.
Yeah, good times.
Well, so I was thinking,
Tell me.
We've been, for the last many weeks, talking about more kind of heavy things, that we should have a little fun today.
Yeah.
Read some Am I the Assholes?
I'm into
and
it.
tell people they are indeed the asshole, or they're not.
Absolutely.
I mean, I always like picking them by just the title.
Yeah, same.
Because they'll grab my attention. Like this one. Am I the asshole for telling my husband's affair partner's husband about their affair?
Your husband's affair partner's husband.
Right, so telling the husband's mistress, telling her husband.
Got it.
Already, I'm just going to say no. I mean, I haven't even read the thing, and I'm going to say no.
No, do your thing.
Okay, for context, my husband and I have been together for 12 years and married recently. His affair has been going on for 3 months. I recently found out, and rightfully so, I was devastated since we have 3 kids together. We recently got married. I didn't expect this. He didn't come home one night after work, and I got suspicious. So I looked on his computer to see who he was with. Now I'm just going to say, if he didn't come home one night and you're suspicious, there you were already suspicious.
Girl, that's what I'm saying.
You know, I found messages on his computer since he forgot to log off. That's how I found out about their affair. They are co-workers. She's also married with kids. Here is where I might be the asshole. I'm still going to say no. After I messaged him and called him and got no answer, I called her and messaged her. He called me from her phone. He admitted he was wrong, but he didn't want to lose me. Too bad. The whole time we were getting married, he knew he was cheating and didn't tell me. Of course he knew. That was a silly statement. He would come home, be with me, and then go to work and be with her. I've been angry, so I called her out on her BS, and I also told her husband, which he did not know about. She lied and told him she spent the night at a girlfriend's house. My husband says I went too far and that I didn't have to include her husband.
No, you're not the asshole.
You are absolutely not the asshole.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. I say...
Do it again.
You by being the messenger, didn't ruin anyone's life.
No.
The husband has a right to know that his wife is cheating on him.
Dirty whore. Agreed. Okay. I have one.
Okay.
This one says, Am I Am I the asshole for ripping up my neighbor's vegetable garden?
Maybe.
Okay, so I own a house that is close to other homes. Each home is 10 or so feet apart, but we all have backyards. Recently, I noticed a tomato garden growing on the side of my home. I noticed a tomato garden growing on the side of my home. The back of my house sticks out a little more than the front, so that kind of to a rectangle kind of shape. And the back goes right at my property line. Okay, this is already confusing. The garden was on the side of the smaller part of my house, but still technically on my yard. Then there's my neighbor's driveway and their house. I just bought the house a little under a year ago and don't know much about plants, so I wasn't sure if it had to be planted or just grew on its own. I ignored it, but later on sent a text to my landscaper about a few vines on the side of my home growing up my house. The landscaper came and removed everything, including the tomato plants. I'm not home when the landscaper comes, so I just saw it later that day. This guy can't write. A few hours later, the neighbor came to my door upset that I removed the plants, and asking for me to buy them organic tomatoes for the rest of the season or replace their plants with mature ones from Home Depot. I told them their plants shouldn't have been on my yard, and I have a landscaping sign in my yard. It shouldn't be my responsibility to make sure my landscaper doesn't take out plants that are in my yard and aren't mine. I'm wondering if, maybe for the sake of keeping the peace, I should replace the plants, though. Am I the asshole for ripping up their plants? I don't think so.
No.
No, I don't think so.
No, why were they planted in your yard?
That's
Did they
what I'm
not
saying.
have a yard?
And everyone has a yard, he said.
Well, if everyone has a yard...
Then plant it in your own yard.
Did you maybe have an agreement with the old owner?
Sure.
That you guys were sharing a little garden plot?
But
and
that
you just
doesn't...
didn't bother to tell the new owner?
Yeah, and that doesn't really work if the new owner isn't privy to it.
No.
So I don't think you're the asshole.
No, when one of the houses I lived in when I was younger, I moved in, and it was a rental property.
Yeah.
And behind the house there was a garden. And I am absolutely not a gardener because I don't want to get dirty.
Right.
And, well... And the landlord told me, she's like, use the garden, don't use the garden, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because eventually I'm just going to sell the property anyhow.
Okay.
And what it was growing potatoes and asparagus. Well, I don't like asparagus.
Okay.
But asparagus, I learned, is a crop that the first year you grow it, it's not viable. So it's not until the second or third year that it comes up that it's actually edible.
Okay.
So what I did is I went out, and as the asparagus was coming up, I cut it all down and then just took it to work and gave people bundles of asparagus, because asparagus is also not cheap.
No.
But it's like, here, fresh asparagus. So,
yeah.
But,
yeah.
I don't give a shit about a garden. And if you grew a garden in my yard and didn't tell me, I'm probably going to, but here's the asshole thing I did. Same house, same garden. Roommates, this is where I actually started and I got sidetracked. Roommates decided they should grow pot plants in my garden and not tell me. And at this time, had the police come through my yard, which they did often because my neighbor's house was a drug house.
Yeah.
And saw pot plants, and they would have just arrested me.
Sure.
Because my name was the only one on the lease.
Yeah.
And so all of their little pot plants got a nice big heavy dose of weed killer. And they all died.
Yeah.
And then they came to me later, but much later.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, why they chose that moment, but they're like, "Did you kill our?" Yeah. Because guess what? When the police came to the door and said, "There's pot plants growing in your garden," and I said, "Well, they're not mine," I would be like every other asshole who gets caught with drugs.
Yeah.
I'm holding them for someone else.
They're not mine.
Not mine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I always love that.
yeah. All right. I have another one.
Okay.
Am I the asshole for uninviting my sister-in-law from my son's birthday Disney trip? Maybe.
I hope not.
I am married. I am married to my husband. Well, that seems right.
Weird.
And we are planning on taking our son to Disneyland for his birthday. We invited his grandparents on both sides and my husband's brother. However, my mother-in-law invited my husband's sister without asking us. It's not her trip to be invited,
No.
folks. Backstory, my sister-in-law is a very difficult person.
Sounds like a bitch.
We hate her already. God.
I know.
Over the last 3 years, even before she met me, she has been very cruel towards me. When my husband and I started dating, she spent a 10-day vacation with the family, telling my husband and his extended family that I was a whore and a slut and a bunch of other nasty things, despite not even having met me yet.
What?
well, maybe you were a whore and a slut, but that's just life.
Why is
So
that
whatever.
her fucking
I'm like,
business?
right? Then she started complaining to my husband about me for ridiculous things, which in turn, I bought her a gift and wrote a note hoping to become friends, apologizing for whatever I did wrong. She never said thank you, and then was upset with the dress I had picked out for a family wedding and demanded I changed it. What? I spent over $125 finding a new dress. She was still rude to me the entire night. I was planning on hosting a Christmas party and invited her and her boyfriend as well, as my husband's best friend and his... What?
It's his husband's best friend.
When... Blah, blah, blah. All right. As my husband's best friend and his girlfriend. His... whatever.
Okay.
When talking about the party, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, I showed them a picture and said that she was very sweet and her personality fit well with the friends. Both mother-in-law and sister-in-law proceeded to call her ugly and say that he could do much better. The following week, my husband's best friend calls him, cussing him out, and said that my sister-in-law told him that I called her ugly and that he could do better. I never said those things, but she said I did, and his friend has not spoken to him since. Good Lord. Sounds like the sister-in-law is just a cunt. So
yeah, honestly.
On Christmas, I catch her talking shit about me to his cousins while they all stare at me and laugh. She proceeded to steal all of my tampons without asking, despite knowing I have a uterine disease that causes heavy bleeding. Good Lord, this seems like a lot of details we don't necessarily need.
But also, why is this woman such an awful bitch?
Right. She followed those acts with telling my mother-in-law, my husband, and I were engaged before we got to tell her. She told my brother-in-law's girlfriend that as long as she wasn't... What? As long as she wasn't me, everybody would love her. That doesn't make sense.
No.
She fought me on everything about my wedding and made it a living hell. She purposely left me out during the camping trip and pointed it out to me 3 times. She got upset she wasn't being included when we would hang out with my brother-in-law, so she blamed me and blocked me on social media. Why are you friends with her on social media?
Honestly, she's so annoying.
But undid it so she wouldn't get caught. She said she didn't want me in her wedding, despite the fact that she isn't even engaged.
Okay.
This is a very convoluted tale. Recently we had a fight about everything where I said that I would only be cordial with her, but I needed space. I proceeded to keep her blocked on all social media. Anytime we see her, she gets in my face trying to talk to me or bugging my kids, despite the fact that my son runs away from her screaming, and I've asked her to leave me alone many times. Now my mother-in-law has invited her to my son's birthday to Disneyland, and it's going to annoy me and stress me out if she goes. So my question is, am I the asshole if I tell her she isn't invited?
No.
My husband works for
Who?
the father-in-law, so while he's defended me, it's minimal due to the fear of being fired.
Fuck.
So,
No.
his family's awful.
Yeah.
They treat you like garbage. And then you are just wondering if you're an asshole for not wanting them to go on a trip with you? If she's a cunt to you like this all the time, absolutely.
And they don't know? They don't know? They just are like, oh, you're the problem? No. You're not the asshole.
Yeah, somebody said, cancel the trip, rebook it with your family only.
Yeah.
Parents and child, keep the date a secret.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And I would invite the mother-in-law too, because obviously she's part of the whole problem.
Yeah. God. How awful. And listen, I don't bite my tongue. I don't know if you know this. I have a problem with people.
Hang on, what?
If a bitch came at me like that, oof.
Oh,
I
don't care who you are.
I would have already tussled, bitch.
Yeah.
We would have twirled lots. Okay, my turn? Or
It's
okay.
your turn.
Am I the asshole for refusing to serve my uncle? My family recently had an event at our home. I, a 15 female, am expected to cook, clean, serve guests, take care of the children all at once. We're African and still strictly follow gender roles. I was stressed out since there were so many people in the house, and I was cleaning meat while keeping an eye on 9+ kids. Jesus. My uncle, a 50-year-old male, thought it was a good idea to get my niece to tell me to get him a beer. Mind you, he's sitting in the living room watching TV. I told my niece to tell my uncle that I'm busy and I can't, but my niece came back and told me that he wants to talk to me. I go into the living room and instantly he starts yelling about how disrespectful I am, how I need to start acting like a woman, how I'm too American, etc., etc. Here's where I may have been the asshole. I started yelling back. I called him, calling him a fat, useless, lazy, and selfish because he knows how busy I am, and he's still asking me to get him a beer. He wanted to say something back, but I just went in my room. Some of my aunties and uncles talked to me and said I should apologize because it's a woman's place to serve a man, and what I did was extremely disrespectful. It's been a couple of days since the incident, and I'm still getting phone calls telling me to apologize. My mother's especially mad. My mother scheduled a meeting with the community to talk to me about my behavior. I just want things to go back to normal and for everyone to stop hating me. Should I apologize? Am I the asshole? No. I mean, I get it.
No to both of those.
Yeah, I get it. Your family, and it's your culture, and it's very strict on you. No. No, girl. I wouldn't apologize. I'd be y'all can die mad.
Maybe you crossed a line when you said he was fat and useless and whatever, but the fact that he can see that you're trying to keep an eye on 9 children and cooking the meal, and he can't get off his ass.
And you're 15?
Why the child that he sent to ask you, that child couldn't bring him a beer?
But also, aren't there... Oh, you said there's aunties and uncles, and, like, why can no one else do anything?
Right. Is everyone else...
broken.
They're all broken. They're all laying on the floor in a pile. So they can't help. I'm sorry, but no.
There's no way. No, that should piss me off.
And I get that part of that you're dealing with is tradition stuff.
Totally. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I would be like, yeah, you know, you're mad because I'm too Americanized. Well, then perhaps you shouldn't have moved us to America.
Yeah, well, weird. I'm an American in America? That's so different. Yeah, I don't know. Me stresses me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Oh, so some of these I'm just like, I don't even want to read that because it's just messy. The title is just messy. Like, am I the asshole for sleeping with my late wife's sister after her death? Well, if it was immediately after, yes. Am I the asshole for adopting a baby and lying to my crush that it's actually my biological child? Yes. Am I the asshole for not budging on my wedding color scheme? Who cares?
I just, like, you guys have no real problems in your life.
Right.
Like,
it's like, so your color scheme is an issue that I'm going to have to read that one. Because it just sounds stupid. So my fiance, 34, and I, 27, have been dating for almost 5 years and have been engaged for 9 months. We've recently started discussing the plans for the wedding. I'll be honest, she's doing a great job in planning it out, setting the budget, arranging the venue, viewings. She's doing the majority of the planning herself. And as it's her big day, I'm just letting her choose what she wants. Oh, that's so nice of you. You're letting her do all the work and letting her pick what she wants.
That's crazy.
We've recently got to the stage where we talk about color schemes for my suit and accessories and the bridesmaids' dresses. My favorite color is Cadbury purple.
I don't even know. That's not real.
Is that like the color of the foil on the Cadbury egg?
You're asking the wrong bitch.
It's always been. So I said, I want that. At first, she just said, okay. And we moved on. It then got to be the point where she was suggesting different types of colors that we could have. Lilac, peach, sage green, baby blue. And I said, I already told you I want Cadbury purple. She said that I can't have Cadbury purple because it doesn't go with anything. I said I'm fine with her picking and choosing everything to do with the wedding, but the only input I want is what I'll be wearing. Okay. She started to get it... What? She started to get into a strop? What the hell does that mean?
Not a straw.
Yeah, making it difficult and asking if we could just compromise. And I said that it wouldn't be compromising if it's not the color I want. I said, I don't have Cadbury purple, then I don't care what color I have, and that she should just pick it out herself and not pretend that I have a say in the wedding, because I clearly don't. So am I the asshole for wanting to stick to the only input I want?
Oh my god, you're the asshole for writing this out.
Right, you are an asshole just for being you.
I'm tired.
I'm sorry, but What the fuck? Cadbury purple.
Who cares? I'm gonna
Which
look it up.
literally would go with fucking nothing.
Is it what lavender or is it like royal?
No, I think it's royal purple, which would be really bold. Which, whatever. But if you don't want to do bold colors at your wedding, I don't know. But who cares?
It's very bold. It's almost like royal blue.
Yeah.
Which I guess you could do it, but it's still bold. It could get real gaudy real quick. And not like the gaudies, but like gaudy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Whatever.
I
I'm
know.
sorry, but
I can't.
first of all, here's my thought.
Let me know.
Because I know they need to know my thoughts.
They do.
They do. They've been waiting for my thoughts on this. Is you say you're letting her do everything. So what that really means is she's doing all the work.
Yeah.
You know, and you're getting off scot-free. And now you want to put down, you're like, well, I want this one thing.
Oh.
Because you get to do everything. Planning a wedding is a lot of work.
I know.
And if you have, taken a back seat and you're like, I'm letting her, you're not letting her do anything.
So
you're
annoying.
making her plan the whole thing.
You're making her plan.
And then you're like, I get that you've picked everything, but I'm going to put my foot into this.
Yeah. No, I don't get it.
And at the end of the day, why do you care?
Girl,
Whether your vest and your cummerbund or whatever are Cadbury purple.
this is like what they should do? They should be like, oh, is this Cadbury purple, and have it be a completely different color, like not purple, but and she let her say, show her royal blue. Be like, this one. She says yes, and then be like, that's on fucking Cadbury purple. You dumb bitch. You don't even know what color you want. That's what I would do. Or also like, why are you? Listen, I understand that weddings are like big and think people want to celebrate, but like. There are some things I think are trivial. There are things that are inconsequential. Things that just don't fucking matter. Right, Jean? She doesn't care.
When I got married, the last time.
Oh, okay.
Our whole wedding was like, wedding on a budget.
Yeah.
It was like, we found a place where we could have it that was really inexpensive, and by having a hosted bar, we didn't have to buy alcohol. It's like, if you want to buy alcohol, you go to the bar and buy it yourself.
Yeah.
And that also cut down on drunk people.
Yeah.
Because only the hardcore drunks who were going to be drunk anyway went and bought drinks. And then some of them, my sister, had booze in their purse.
Shocking.
Whatever. I don't care.
And then drove all the way back to the country.
Right. But the only thing that mattered to me at the end of the day was that I was marrying my husband.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I really cared about.
And you had a friend do your DJ music, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
We had a friend do the flowers. And, of course, I paid them because I don't ever expect anybody to do anything free. But we did it all on the cheap. And I had people tell me that it was one of the nicer weddings they've been to because the vows were lovely. And it was like, because it felt real. It didn't feel like you were going to this big production.
It wasn't all the pomp and circumstance for nothing. Yeah,
it was
I agree.
Hey, this is just us, and we're getting married, and we wanted our friends and family to be part of it.
Yeah,
that's all. Yeah. So I don't understand the big. I have to have 14 bridesmaids, and I have to have 3, bachelorette parties, and they have to be destination parties. And it's like, first of all, I think if you plan a destination wedding or a destination bachelorette party, you're already an asshole. Because you're making people who want to attend your wedding pay a lot of money that they don't need to pay.
And if you're going to have a destination wedding, elope.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. If you want to get married in Hawaii, you can just say, listen, we're getting married in Hawaii. If anybody wants to join us, you're welcome to, but we're not inviting anybody specifically because we don't want you to feel like you have to do.
I would be like, we're going to elope and come back and have a party.
Yeah.
That makes more sense to me.
But I would still be like, here's when we're going to do it. Here's where we're going to be. If you want to join us, cool beans.
Yeah.
If not, we'll have a party when we get back.
Yeah.
But I'm also way more relaxed about all
Girl,
that crap.
Same. I'm like, first of all, I don't want to be that uncomfortable for that long. I don't want to talk to a bunch of people I don't see. I don't want to, there's just so much about weddings that I don't care about. I also don't like formal events. I don't like being formal. I don't like dressing up formally. I want to look like a slut. Or like I'm a comfortable slob.
Right. Those are kind of your two.
It's either
MOs. You're
going all out,
right, or you're in sweats.
A couch potato.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't help it.
I
have
know,
2 modes.
honey. I know.
Hot summer girl and dead rat
and couch potato
and swamp witch. Yeah,
swamp
can't
witch
help
who's
it.
Addicted to SVU.
Like, I can't help it.
I know.
You know what? Watching other people go through traumas makes me forget my own shit. You know what I mean? I'm like,
I do know what you mean.
Another kidnapping. well, I feel better. You know?
Right. Look, it's not me. I haven't been kidnapped, so I'm good.
I am very good. I've watched so much of it now, I can tell when things aren't right. Like, the other day, because they're getting into the modern era, Olivia Benson was FaceTiming, oh, hey, honey, with her son. But you can tell that during filming, she just held up a phone that nothing was happening.
Right,
and said,
right.
oh, Noah, okay, yeah. Like, right? And it didn't line up with what the kid was saying when they played it back.
Nice.
And I said, this looks so stupid. You look like you're having a stroke. It was so silly. Yeah, but I love it.
I do enjoy that.
I
do enjoy when things don't work quite right.
Agreed.
And you can't miss it.
Agreed.
I love that.
It's
I love
so
that shit.
Fun. I know.
I also love finding places in movies where it's the what's the word I'm looking for?
Who knows?
Where you see something like you're sitting at a table and there's a bottle of wine and it's mostly full, and then the next shot it's empty, and the next shot it's full again. Mm-hmm. It's like continuity. There's the word I was looking for. Because like in the movie Tu Wong Fu,
Girl.
They're sitting at the table. It's towards the end of the movie. There's a little broken thing on the table that they're clearly fixing, but there's nothing about that in the storyline. Yeah. Right? It's some little angel or something that must have gotten thrown in the husband's fit. But it's in pieces, then it's solid, then it's in pieces again, and the wine bottle keeps going up and down in level, and I'm all...
That's how I feel. Like, people will go to bars, it's a lot of that in SVU, and they'll order a drink, and then seconds later they're leaving, and I'm like, what about that $14 scotch you bought? Or they'll order dinner and be like, gotta go, and just everyone leaves, and I'm all, is somebody not going to box that up? Like, what are you doing? Nobody has... Also, in the background, in the background actors, none of them have cell phones. Now I've been paying attention. Nobody is on a phone. Nobody has a cell phone. I'm like, so only the cops have cell phones and the criminals. Right. But all you average Joes, not a single one?
In SVU world, only the cops and criminals can afford phones.
I guess. Make it make sense. It's so goofy.
It is goofy. Speaking of goofy, this conversation is goofy. So we're going to go.
Oh, good.
Because, you know, places to do and people to see... That's not right.
I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to do places or see people.
Actually, after I leave here, I'm going to go do hair on a dead lady.
So at least she'll have be good company.
The nice is she won't be talking back to me.
Yeah.
She won't be going, I don't like this
You're
color.
like, do you like this, Mrs. Robinson?
All right. Mrs. Dead Lady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't make me hit
That's how I refer to all the people as Mr. or Mrs. Dead Lady.
Mr. Dead Lady?
Mr. Dead Lady and Mrs. Dead Lady. That's not quite right, but, you know. Anyway, listen.
To everyone as Mr. and Mrs. Dead Lady.
Drop us an email at itwouldseemasthough@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe, rate us on the places where you can rate us.
I thought you just said berate us.
Berate us. You can do that too. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
I mean, you know, it's not going to hurt my feelings.
I care.
Okay. She's an annoying bitch. Yes, she is.
Yes.
Who you telling?
I don't know. Which one?
Right. Well, that too.
Yeah.
And... we come out, our show comes out every Wednesday. We don't come out.
We don't do any of that.
We've already done all that.
Yeah.
But our show comes out every Wednesday. So
it does. And we'll be here.
Yeah, we'll be here. And we'll be here next week and every other week for the rest of your lives. So
oh my
God,
that's such a long time.
I gotta go.
Okay, I'm leaving. Bye.
It would seem as though